Welcome to our 20-year anniversary celebration. Tonight, we'll be thanking and acknowledging many individuals who played a role either in the development of the Ridge or the success of the Ridge during the past 20 years. In addition, we'll be reviewing several special and/or important events that have taken place during the past 20 years that will always be part of the Ridge history. At this time, I would like to introduce, if I do this right, I'd like to introduce John Myers, our Yamaha golf cart distributor for the past 20 years.
So, my name is John Myers. I'm the owner of Golf Car Specialties. I've been fortunate to be with my buddy for, we were just talking about it, 20 years together. And I'm so proud of him and Pam. They've done such a great job. But I want to tell you a little bit about how I met Joel. So when I first met Joel, I was, brand new in the business, and I run up to the Ridge of Backbrook, and I get a chance to meet this gruff guy that the whole time was telling me, this is what I'm paying for this stuff and nothing else, but that's what I'm paying. And I was left and I was like, you know what? This guy is one piece of work. He's something else. And you know what I realized after all these years? He is something else, because he wasn't gruff, he was particular. And there's a big difference between the two. I've been very fortunate to earn his friendship over the years, really have. And I talk about that story and being particular because when you see what he's built and what him and Pam have done, you realize that somebody who is particular is the only one that could have done this. And as particular as he is with his golf course, and as particular as he is with all the things that he's done, he's equally supportive of his friends. I coach high school basketball, that's not even the story, but the great thing is, he used to come to my games just to root on my team, had no vested interest. And that's the particular part of him that I love the most. The part that he would spend the time outside of what he knew with somebody that he appreciated. 20 years is incredible. And it's 20 years of the top-notch golf course that, I gotta be honest with you, I've ever played. And I played them all. Pine Valley, Augusta National, every place you can think of. And this, to me, will always be the best golf course, particularly because of the things that he's done. Joel, great job. Pam, really proud of you. Most often, Pam, because you actually were with Joel this long, but also the golf course. So you deserve this, and I certainly wish I could be there to celebrate, but I'm glad you took this opportunity to let me speak with you. You're a good man.
This is a picture of myself and my good friend Frank Weed. Frank, can you raise your hand? I'd like to introduce Frank. Somewhere around 1990, Frank was hired to oversee and develop Cherry Valley Country Club, which opened in 1991. Frank and I met during construction, and when the course opened, he asked me to run the member advisory committee, which I did from 1991 when the club opened through 1998, when I resigned as president of the advisory committee as well as a member of the club. And I did that because I thought at the time the homes were starting to be built and the homeowners had a different agenda. So I thought it was the right time for the homeowners to take over. The reason why I'm acknowledging Frank at the beginning of tonight's presentation is simply that if he didn't ask me to get involved with Cherry Valley, I may not have had the urge to build the Ridge and a very private course. So Frank, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tom Bracken. I am the current president and CEO of the New Jersey State Chamber of Commerce. But in a former life, I was the president and CEO of Sun National Bank, and that's where I first was introduced to Joel and Pam Moore. In 2001, I took over Sun National Bank, and one of the very first customer introductions I had was with Joel, who was in the process of building the Ridge. and our bank was discussing the financing of that for Joel. Now let me preface this by saying that banks normally don't finance golf courses. It's not something banks like to do for many reasons, but I was a golfer. I met Joel. I heard his vision. My first comment was, an accountant building a golf course? That kind of jaded my thought process until I met Joel and Pam. And after meeting with them and hearing them, I started to come around to the fact that this could be a very real project. And having been a heavy advocate for the state of New Jersey, the Ridge could be a huge asset for the state of New Jersey, a big drawing card for events, tournaments, and a real asset to our state. So after many discussions and many negotiations, we decided as a bank to finance the course for Joel. I would tell you at the very end, we had a little bit of a hurdle to overcome. And, you know, banking is all about relationships. And I had two very good friends, John Clifford and Steve Pineco, who stepped in and helped Joel at the very end and helped me put the package together for the bank from a loan standpoint. And their involvement meant a lot to my decision because I respected both of those gentlemen. They had great integrity. They were financially smart. They knew what they were doing, and they were willing to step up to help Joel. So the whole issue of relationships really came into play. And I've always said when I was a banker that, you know, you don't lend to a balance sheet, you don't lend to a P&L statement, you lend to people. And if you don't have confidence in the people you're lending to, you should never make loans. I grew a huge confidence level with Joel and Pam. I had an enormous confidence level with John and Steve. And the combination of all that led us to provide the financing. And as they say, the rest is history. I look around today, in fact, I'm looking out the window right now at the course. What a wonderful golf course, what a wonderful venue. I've played it many times. It's beaten me up many times. It will always beat me up, but it's a great venue. One of the highlights of my life is at my son's engagement party. We had a small outing here that Joel was kind enough to let us put on. And on the second hole, my son, the groom-to-be, got a hole-in-one. And Joel gave me a very nice, took the flag on that hole and mounted it and gave me a great picture for my son, a great picture that was framed with the flag. He still has it. It's a very prized piece of history for him. So another great experience I've had here. But I do want to say that I was very pleased to be introduced to Joel. I'm very happy to have played a very small role in what has been created here. It is a real honor to be asked to speak at the 20th anniversary. I appreciate all Joel has done for me in allowing me to play this course over the years, and I congratulate him on a wonderful accomplishment and wish him the best going forward.
Unfortunately, Stephen Pineco, a member, one of our two founding members, is out of town this evening, but has sent the following message. Joining us tonight also are Chris Clifford and Scott and Kathy Clifford. Tonight we are especially missing our dear friend and supporter John, who passed away on November 6, 2018. I'd like to introduce everyone to Chris Clifford. Okay, so it's 1999, and we started building the golf course, broke ground, started clearing trees, and lo and behold, Tom Fazio, or Bo Welling, who you'll shortly meet, tells me, you got to have a superintendent to help you build the golf course and grow it in. So I started looking for superintendents, and I would like to now introduce Mike Scott and have him come up here for a second. Mike Scott was the individual who was in charge of overseeing the construction of the golf course and growing it in. So on behalf of that, Michael. The Ridge at Backbrook, in commemoration of the Ridge at Backbrook's 20-year anniversary, Joel and Pamela Moore, owners and developers of the Ridge, present to Michael Scott, Grow-In Superintendent, in recognition of his significant contribution and total commitment in overseeing the construction of the Ridge at Backbrooks Golf Course. At this point, I'd like to introduce another individual. His name is Bo Welling. He's the current president and owner of Bo Welling Golf Course Design. At the time when we started the Ridge, Bo was, I called him the business manager. He basically ran the Fazio Design Company. He now designs and develops all of Tiger Woods' golf courses, as well as his own golf courses. Bo played a major role in getting me and Tom Fazio together. It's an interesting story. You know, back in 1998, after I found these 4 parcels of land, Pam and I were members of a golf club down in Florida called Black Diamond Ranch, which had 45 holes of Tom Fazio designed golf holes. And I was very close with the head pro down there, who later became my head pro up here, Joey Rassett. So once I found this land, I flew down to Florida, walked into Joey Rassett's office, and said, Joey, I'm going to build a golf course in New Jersey. Well, he looked at me like I was absolutely crazy, and he said, you're out of your mind. But I told him, I need you to hook me up and be the contact between me and getting in touch with the Fazio Design Company. So right then and there, Joey picked up the phone and called the Fazio Design Company and asked for Bo. And Joey was talking to Bo, and they were going back and forth. And you know, you have to remember, back then it was the boom of golf. And for what I've been told afterwards, you know, Bo was getting these kind of phone calls multiple times a day, every day. Everyone calling him saying, my name is so-and-so, I live in such and such a state, I found the greatest piece of land in the world, and you're going to build me the greatest golf course in the world. And Bo was getting these calls all the time. And I was told afterwards that a nice, polite way for Bo to get the hell off the phone was to say, send me a topo map, and we'll look at it, and then we'll get back to you. So, you know, I never did this before, so I thought that made sense. So Pam and I immediately flew back to New Jersey, asked the individual who I had an option to buy the land from, I didn't buy it yet, and I said, do you have a topo map? And he happened to have one, and I got it, brought it right to my accounting office, had someone in my office FedEx it overnight to Mr. Welling, and the next day or the day after, I get a call from Bo saying, or he calls my accounting office, and my secretary answers it and comes into my office and says, there's someone with a funny accent on the phone, and he said his name is Bo and he wants to talk to you. And I said, send him through, send him through. And Bo immediately proceeded to tell me that he would have a bunch of guys on the property the following morning because the land was so special. So that's how it all started. In addition, last year, for our members know, last year when Hurricane Ida came and hit us, in the middle of the night, we woke up the following morning, and to devastation, we lost the complete 8th hole, and we lost a walking bridge that ended up partly in my backyard. And that was on a Thursday, I believe. I called Bo the next day after Alan Bean, our superintendent, had to revive me from looking at the devastation. And Bo flew up that Sunday and helped us plan the renovation of the number 8th hole. So because of all that, his involvement from the beginning, he's a great friend of ours. I'd like to ask Bo to come up here and come up for a second. I'm not going to read the top part. It's the same for a lot of people, but I will read it. In commemoration of the Ridge at Backbrook's 20-year anniversary, Joel and Pamela Moore, owners and developers of the Ridge, present to Bo Welling, in recognition of his significant contribution and dedication in making the Ridge at Backbrook an outstanding and one-of-a-kind championship golf course. Thank you. You want to say something?
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna let Joel give me the microphone for 2 seconds. Someone asked me earlier, are you planning to talk tonight? And I said, I really don't have no idea, but it's easy to talk about the Ridge, so that's all great. It's been wonderful to be here this afternoon. As Joel mentioned, I was here after the flood, but before that was probably the 15th anniversary, so it's been a while since I've been here. But in any event, it was great to meet many of you tonight, hear lots of accolades about the golf course, and the golf course is super special. My standard answer when people ask, like, how did you do all this, wherever the project is, I say, well, we're just really good at picking clients. And this is no different here at the Ridge. Obviously, I'm referring to Pam. But in all honesty, this was a really special thing. Everything Joel said about Joey Rassick calling, and I came here, and I remember meeting Pam and Joel, and it was cold. Pam remembered tonight I was so young, and I was probably about 60 pounds less. But I remember going back and seeing Mr. Fazio and talking about how awesome this land was and how passionate these people were. And I was absolutely convinced that there was zero chance that Tom Fazio was going to take this project on. And I remember him looking at me and he said, they're really passionate? And I said, yeah, I mean, like as passionate as anybody I've ever seen about golf. And he said, but sometimes like when we started, we didn't have a lot, and it was just passion is kind of all we had. And he's like, I think we need to do this. And he was so spot on. And it's been an incredible involvement here at the Ridge. It was a complicated build, environmental stuff, rock, et cetera, and people ask me, and I'm very fortunate to work on all these great, incredible places, my relationship with Tiger Woods, yada, yada. But people ask me, like, well, how'd you get involved in golf? And, like, why do you keep doing this? And what I end up talking about, like, I got involved with greens, tees, and bunkers because I was a halfway decent golfer. But what has me keep going is really people and the fact that golf builds this absolute incredible community. And when I think about the Ridge, I think about this incredible piece of property briefly, but my mind almost always goes to Joel and Pam Moore and the relationship that I have with them. And if it wasn't for golf, I wouldn't have that. And it is so radically special to me. They've been incredible supporters of mine. I've been hopefully incredible supporters of them. This community they've built here, to see you guys and your passion about the Ridge, like that's what this is all about. I mean, that's what's so special about our game. It's yes, there's bunkers and greens and strategy, but it's like the community that we have around this is just absolutely fantastic. And I can't tell you how special my involvement at the Ridge has been. And it's just truly been wonderful. And to see Mike Scott again is like really cool. I know we're going to talk about Alan Bean here in a little bit, But these guys, these golf course superintendents, just so you guys know, like what they're dealing with out there in terms of the challenges of labor and expectations with so much golf being played. I mean, these guys are like really, really fantastic. I was talking to Al. Where's Al? Al earlier. Where's Al? Al's worked here for 20 years. Al. Al, 20 years of dealing with Joel Moore. I know God has a special seat for you at his feet, just waiting on you. But in all seriousness, guys, like I have been very fortunate in my life and in my career, and I would put at the top of the list the relationship I have with Joel and Pam. Like I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world with everything I've done. So thank you guys so much for having me be here tonight. Let me get my loot out of here.
Yep.
In far western New Jersey lies a landscape that seems untouched by time and man. The terrain rises and falls, is thick with forest, and etched by rivers and streams. And it's where Joel Moore built his dream club, the Ridge at Backbrook. If you haven't heard of the Ridge at Backbrook, we'll let you in on the secret. On 300 untouched acres, Joel Moore and his wife Pam wanted to create a true golf experience. No pool, no tennis, no homes. A golf oasis casual in atmosphere, but serious about the game. They considered only one architect, Tom Fazio. The course opened in 2002 to raves and awards, and yet most people still haven't heard of it. They don't know what they are missing. Fazio made every hole special, incorporating the rolling hills, trees, a large lake, and 3 ponds. He crafted a challenging test that is bold as well as beautiful. And in typical Fazio fashion, the course looks as if it's been on the site for many years. The fairways are wide, but the constant movement of the land means golfers will face a variety of slopes and lies. Bunkers are few, but those that do appear are large, deep, and carefully positioned to make golfers think. The stiffest defense at the Ridge are its greens. They are big, deceptive, and always in perfect condition. There really is a ridge at the Ridge at Backbrook. Veins of barn red shale, exposed during construction, add color and thrills to a number of holes on the course. At the par 5 7th, it splits the wide fairway and forces players to choose a side. At the par 3 8th, the red rock forms a 100-foot high wall behind the green, while on top of the wall sits the 17th green, teetering at the cliff's edge. And at the par 5 5th and 18th holes, the red shale creates a dramatic backdrop on approach shots to these greens. And there really is a back brook. It weaves in and out of the course, angling into play with the ability to drown the best of intentions if not shown the proper respect. The final hole is just one example where the meandering stream protects a wide yet shallow green nestled on a shelf above the flowing water. The exhilaration of the round carries into the Mountain Lodge-style clubhouse. Grand in design, it is intimate and comfortable inside, with a welcoming bar and restaurant, handsome, fully appointed locker rooms, and quiet corners, ideal for friendly conversation and recounting rounds just finished. Steps away is an expansive practice area with bunkers, short game areas, and 2 putting greens. The broad driving range, the kind a real golf club should have, has multiple target greens, bunkers, and fairway-like targets. There's also a separate teaching tee. The Ridge at Backbrook is private golf at its best, a club that revels in its natural beauty. As Tom Fazio put it, golfers will be shocked by the natural beauty and drama of this course. Just when you think you've played the best 9 holes you've ever played, you step up to the 10th tee and it starts all over again. This is the Ridge at Backbrook, a hidden gem among the best courses in America, where golfers passionate about the game should be playing.
I'm sure most of you have either been told or heard the cliche that make sure you have a great attorney. Well, back in 1998 and 1999 and throughout the past 20 years, that phrase couldn't have been more true. The Ridge and I have been very fortunate to have had the following 2 individuals representing the club. First, David Gordon. David Gordon, who's a member, has handled all our land use, approval matters, and has acted as our general counsel and advisor over the years. And Brian Malloy. Brian, please come up. Brian has handled all our legal matters and is considered to be one of the best litigation attorneys in New Jersey. David Gordon, in recognition of your dedication and great work that you always performed in representing the Ridge at Backbrook during all our approvals, land use matters, and as general counsel and advisor. And Brian Malloy, in recognition of your unwavering dedication and professional services and guidance that you have performed on behalf of the Ridge, resulting in a significant contribution to the overall success of the Ridge at Backbrook. Yep. I would also, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize another individual. He assists Brian Malloy in a lot of our legal matters. Pierre, can you just raise your hand? Thank you.
Hey Joel, hey all you good folks at the Ridge at Backbrook. Congratulations on 20 years in the clubhouse. I wish I was there. Unfortunately, I can't make it, but I do want to say hello. Joel asked me to say a few things. In fact, I'm going to show you a few things. Back in the day, this is how we drew, and this is a sketch of mine that I like that shows the bar area of the clubhouse, hand drawn. And here, indeed, is the real thing. It's one of my favorite spaces at the clubhouse, the bar area. A couple more. You know that the clubhouse is built out of lodgepole pine almost entirely. It was fun to have that as something to design from. Another one of my favorites that shows the entry structure and the magnitude and size of those pines. When I talk about the clubhouse to my friends, and more specifically and more importantly to my wife and son and daughter, it is one of the projects I'm very, very proud of. I use a couple words. One of the words is brave. It was a brave endeavor to take on a large clubhouse that's almost entirely lodgepole pine and rustic when no one else was doing that sort of thing back in 2000. And the other word I would use is honesty. The club and the building is built almost entirely from this structure. It has structural integrity. Where did that come from? It came from a good merger of the client, Joel, and myself deciding that we wanted to do this right, and we wanted to give a lot of drama to the clubhouse. I think we're both very, very proud of it. Well, enough of that. I want you to go have a good time, enjoy your dinner. Again, I wish I was there someday, but have a good evening. Thank you.
Just a quick story to follow that up. When I was deciding on who would be the architect for the clubhouse, you know, there are firms all over the country that specialize in clubhouses. And so we contacted them all, and they would all do the same thing. They would come to, we had a trailer at the time down at the bottom of the road, and they would come and they'd spend an hour showing us their portfolio and patting themselves on the back. And then finally they would say, "What are you looking for?" And I pulled out a couple of pictures of rustic mountain lodge type structures that you would see in Wyoming, Montana, or Colorado. And these were all nationally well-known architectural firms. And the first three firms that I met with all said to me when I showed them the pictures, "You can't do that in the Northeast. You can't do it." And I, especially the first one who said it, I was a little taken aback, and I didn't know if he was kidding me or if he was busting my chops or whatever. And we furthered our conversation, and he said, "It just doesn't go in the Northeast. You can't do it." So all three of them, I stood up, put my hand out, said, "Thank you for coming. Get the hell off our property." I didn't say it quite like that, but I said, "Goodbye, thanks for coming." And then the fourth one was Jerry Spangler from, his firm was in Atlanta, Georgia. And when I showed him the pictures, there was silence for about 10 seconds, and then he pulled out his pad and he started drafting pictures. Some of the pictures you just saw that he showed on the screen. And we hit it off from day one, and this is the result. So Jerry, thank you very much. Tom Hoke was the interior designer for this building, and he was due to be here tonight. And unfortunately, he is stranded in St. Louis as all his flights have been canceled. So he won't be here tonight. So we're going to move on. And
Hi, this is Jerry Cavella, publisher of Golf Styles New Jersey magazine. In this edition of our Golf Styles Minute, we take an inside look at the Ridge at Back Brook. This exclusive Tom Fazio designed masterpiece is located in the heart of the Garden State, in the rolling hills of Ringoes, New Jersey. This one-of-a-kind track is for the passionate golfer who is looking to experience one of the world's best courses. Through the commitment of owner Joel Moore, the Ridge works diligently on maintaining PGA-type tournament condition each and every day. Add a world-class practice facility and a spectacular one-of-a-kind clubhouse, and you have a match made in golf heaven. As the Ridge celebrates its 20th year, ownership is extending a special anniversary membership, a wonderful package that perfectly matches the needs of the golf purist. Our recommendation? If you are looking for one of the finest golf experiences in the region, you will want to check out the Ridge at Back Brook. For Golf Styles magazine, this is Jerry Covella.
Joining us tonight is the editor of Golf Styles magazine, Jerry Cavella, who's been a tremendous supporter over the years of the Ridge at Back Brook. Jerry, can you stand up? During COVID, the National Golf Course Owners Association contacted and nominated myself for a national award, and we'll go through these slides.
Mr. Moore, have you been involved in any other New Jersey actions that impacted the New Jersey golf industry?
In 2006, I represented the New Jersey golf industry regarding a New Jersey sales tax matter. The New Jersey Division of Taxation proposed to charge sales tax on all New Jersey revenues, including initiation fees, membership dues, and membership fees. I was successful in getting a portion of annual dues classified as social activities and thus not subject to New Jersey sales tax.
Mr. Moore, have you represented the New Jersey golf industry in any other actions or matters?
Yes. When former Governor Christie was elected, he formed the Red Tape Committee, which brought together leaders from many New Jersey industries together to discuss unfair regulations and policies that existed in New Jersey that were adversely impacting New Jersey businesses. I testified on behalf of the New Jersey golf industry before the Lieutenant Governor and her committee. I made recommendations on how New Jersey should either streamline or eliminate various regulations and policies that pertain to the golf industry.
Mr. Moore, were you involved in getting New Jersey golf courses reopened after the governor closed all golf courses last spring due to the pandemic?
Yes. Initially, I took a back seat and let the other New Jersey golf associations and their representatives try to get golf courses reopened. However, it appeared to me that their letters were not being addressed in a timely manner, and that it was important that owners of New Jersey golf courses get directly involved, as it was the owners who were suffering losses and were the responsible entities. On behalf of the New Jersey Golf Course Owners Association, I began communicating via letters, emails, and phone calls to the governor's office, coordinated communications through a lobbyist to the governor's staff, and began a series of communications to all New Jersey senators, assemblymen, and assemblywomen requesting their support, knowing that they all had golf courses in their districts. A set of guidelines was formulated by myself, our president of the New Jersey Golf Course Owners Association, Dave Wissenda, and a couple of New Jersey golf course owners. I then presented these guidelines to the governor's staff and the same list of senators and assemblymen and women. I also appeared on CBS News Television and Fox and Friends Television, and a couple of hours after appearing on Fox and Friends, the governor announced through an executive order that golf courses could reopen in less than 72 hours on May 2nd.
Mr. Moore, were you involved in getting any of the mandated restrictions reduced or modified?
Yes. Several restrictions made it very difficult for courses and golf clubs to be successful, including the 16-minute tee times, single occupancy in each golf cart, and closing of clubhouses were at the top of the list. Courses were having trouble turning over their golf carts due to the 16-minute tee times, resulting in revenues being decreased by at least 50%. Also, the inability to promote food and beverage, either indoors or outdoors, was really adversely impacting golf clubs. Once again, I contacted the governor's office through a series of letters and asked all the New Jersey senators and Assembly men and women for their support, and on June 10th, these restrictions were all modified. At this time, I'd like to introduce some special guests. And just please raise your hand or stand up. That would be nice so everyone can see you. Bob and Jane Petrolino. Bob, when I first found the property, Bob was a neighbor, lived across the street, and volunteered to bring his tractor over and brush hog, and he blazed some trails for us throughout the property. Bob, that was like 22 years ago. Liz Scazzeri and Beverly Nagy are two of our local bankers. John Lanza, Director, Hunterdon County Commissioners. Sean Van Doren, one of the Hunterdon County Commissioners. Mary Melfi, Hunterdon County Clerk. L.A. Parker, Sports Editor, Trentonian. Don Riley, former Chairman of the East Amwell Township Planning Board. John Perini, I always forget how to pronounce his name. Sweet Valley, a great supplier to the Ridge of Backbrook all these years. John? And Diane Griffith. Diane was the vice chairperson of the planning board during our approvals, and she was the individual in charge of our application. Diane, thank you very much. One of the first employees we hired once we opened was our Director of Instruction. I think our members remember her quite well, Sandy Jaskell. Sandy, please come up. Sandy, in recognition of her dedication, outstanding service, and contribution to the success of the Ridge of Backbrook. You're welcome. The next individual I'd like to introduce has been a member of our course since the very beginning, has also been our insurance agent, and a very close advisor and confidant. Cappy Stoltz, please come up. Charles Cappy Stoltz, in recognition of his dedication, outstanding service, and contribution to the success of the Ridge of Backbrook. Hello, my name's Joel Moore. I'm the owner and developer of the Ridge at Backbrook, located in Ringgoes, New Jersey. Some of my experiences and responsibilities in the golf industry have included being the vice president of the New Jersey Golf Course Owners Association for the past 15 years. In addition, I assisted in the formation of the New Jersey Golf Pack and have been its president since its inception in 2007. I would like to thank the National Golf Course Owners Association for naming me the recipient of the very prestigious Paul Porter Award. I would also like to thank the National Golf Course Owners Association for their ongoing support of course owners and managers and their regular updates and information from Ronnie Miles as well as others. Thank you.
Hoping to flock to the state's wide open fairways despite the governor's orders to keep courses closed. We're going to speak to one club owner who is pleading to let residents play.
Well, golf courses are shut down in the state of New Jersey, and the golf courses now are pleading with Governor Phil Murphy to let them reopen with proper safety precautions. Joining us right now is Joel Moore, Vice President of the New Jersey Golf Course Owners Association and owner of the Ridge at Back Brook. Good morning to you, Joel.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Why won't Governor Murphy allow the golf courses of New Jersey to open? Because they are open in nearby Connecticut and New York and Pennsylvania and Rhode Island, and those are the other states as part of this alliance. Everybody's open except Jersey.
That is correct. No one really knows the reason. We have been sending and communicating with the governor and his office. They have said over the last couple of months that their two most critical concerns are social distancing and congregating. And we, the New Jersey Golf Course Owners Association, led by our president, Dave Wasenda, and myself, strongly believe that the proposed guidelines that we have submitted to the governor clearly satisfy those concerns. Would you like me to go into any of those concerns?
Absolutely, Joel, because I'm sure you've written a letter and it's wound up on the desk of the governor, but he is so busy. If you tell the governor right now, I guarantee he will see this video sometime today.
Well, I would like to tell the governor that, first of all, our plan for all golf courses in New Jersey would be that when a golfer arrives at a club or a golf course, that they will not have to touch anything but their own equipment and their own personal belongings. We have structured and put together our guidelines based on totally focused and satisfying those two concerns. For instance, if an individual is coming to play golf, there will not be outside staff that will take their golf bag and put it somewhere. They will the individual golfer will have to deal with it themselves. In addition, we are requiring that golfers have a choice. They can either walk and carry their own bag, not utilizing a caddy, or they can take a golf cart, but it's only one person per cart. When you factor those two things in, by itself it promotes social distancing. But in addition, we are going to require other things that will make the playing of golf much safer, such as we will be removing the rakes that are in the bunkers. That'll be a requirement. We'll be removing or covering the ball washers that are on the golf course. The flag itself, the cup, will be modified, so when the ball goes in the cup, yes.
It sounds like you have thought of everything. You're doing your best. The great thing about golf is, for me, it relaxes you. It's good for your mind. It's good for your body. As I go and find out where I lost that ball, it's a wonderful sport. I hope the governor is listening. Joel Moore, let's see if they open the courses in Jersey. Thank you, sir.
As President Trump is going to meet with New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy at 11 o'clock in the morning. The governor announced yesterday golf courses and state parks will reopen on Saturday. That came just an hour or two after we had a golf course owner right here on Fox and Friends pleading with the governor to reopen them. He decided he would do that 1 hour from right now. Governor.
The next person I'd like to introduce, this is an easy one. As Bo mentioned earlier this evening, superintendents are a rare breed. They, the successful ones, feel and act as if it's their own property. They have to because of the time and energy that they put forth in making a particular golf course in great condition. The Ridge at Backbrook has, I've always said it, regardless of who our superintendent is, I have a mandate with our superintendent that the Ridge at Backbrook better be as good or better condition than everyone else. And knock on wood, over the 20 years, the Ridge at Backbrook has been in better condition, as good or better condition than everyone else. Our superintendent, he's been here 11 years. It's hard to believe that someone could work that hard and still be with me for 11 years, but he is one of a kind. He's a special individual. He and I are on the same page on everything almost. He calls me every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning and we discuss what's going on for the coming day. He is the individual who's responsible for the fantastic championship tournament conditions that the Ridge offers its members and guests on a daily basis. Alan Bean, please come up. In commemoration of the Ridge at Backbrook's 20-year anniversary, Joel and Pamela Moore, owners and developers of the Ridge, present to Alan Bean, Golf Course Superintendent, in recognition of his significant contribution and dedication in maintaining the Ridge at Backbrook's golf course in immaculate and championship conditions on a daily basis.
I am so glad today is here. I can't wait for it to be over. If any of you have worked for Mr. Moore, you all know that you probably get a list. A long time ago, I got a list for this specific night, August 6th, and I'll just tell you a quick story. We just had the 102nd New Jersey Open. The week before, the week before was not ideal conditions for me. You know, very hot and very windy. So we were doing everything we could just to keep, you know, this boat afloat. And I remember specifically, I think it was Friday. It was 97 degrees. It was blowing 30 out here. And it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I got a text. Have you completed my list for August 6th? So, you know, I'm like, I don't know what to think. I'm like, what is this guy thinking? So I calmly respond and say, I haven't even thought about it.
It wasn't calmly.
And he replied, we'll start thinking about it. But it was a great event. Anyway, I just want you to know that, like, I didn't understand where he was coming from. You know, I'm thinking about this big event that was very important to me, and I know it was important to him as well. But having everybody here tonight seeing everybody here, now I understand why he was so intense about this night. You know, I would say that this night is probably more important to him than the New Jersey Open. I know I've sat with Pam and Joel many nights. I spent a lot of time with them, and I've heard all the stories about everybody in here, you know, good and bad. But I can tell you that they care about you guys dearly, and that building this golf course was probably the best time of their life. I'm just happy to play a small part in all of this, and I love Joel and Pam. They're like my parents. You know, my parents are up in Maine, so they're like my parents here. But I want to congratulate you two on 20 years, and this is special. Thank you.
I'm going to acknowledge some special Ridge employees now. Can you just please come up here when I call your name? Shelley Narducci. For those who don't know, our guest tonight, Shelley has been the business manager of the Ridge for the previous 20 years. She has wanted to retire. That's not in the cards, although she's here part-time, but she still plays an important role, and she was my right-hand person for 20 years. Al Slovit. Al started off 20 years ago as a caddy, and then he's been our outside manager for a long time and still is the outside manager. So Al, thank you again. Jason Rossler. Jason was Mike Scott's and all our other superintendents' mechanic. He retired a few years ago, but he still comes to the Ridge and assists our current mechanic several days a week. Victor Jimenez. Victor is our current mechanic, and the team of Victor and Jason, there isn't a better twosome anywhere in any golf club, and they do a tremendous job for Alan. The next individual was one of our first hires. This individual was hired by Mike Scott, and he's still working and doing a tremendous job still for Alan Bean. Gabriel Castrillo. This group of people have really survived the test of time. They have done a tremendous job, all doing a tremendous piece of success in the Ridge at Backbrook. We thank you all very, very much. Can Mike Scott and Alan Beanford please come up? I'd like to have a picture taken with you two and Gabriel.
I don't think Alan's...
Did Alan leave?
I think Alan is...
Oh, well, Michael, can you come up and have a picture with Gabe?
Years later. I came a little late. Thank you.
I'd also it wouldn't be right not to do this. Two key employees during the past 20 years passed away. Our first executive chef who was with us for, I think, 16 or 18 years, John Zarin. And the bartender that everyone loved, although no one could ever understand a word he said, Eli. Can the next couple of people just raise their hand and be acknowledged? As I said before, Shelley is dying to retire, but we're not going to let her. But she's part-time. Our new business manager, Marcy, who's doing a great job. And tonight with us, our new executive chef, Britt Ash. And our locker room manager, Vince Donahue. And of course, I want to thank our wait staff who's here tonight, Kathy, Noreen, Cody, James, and whoever else here I may have missed. Finally, I'd like to thank a few other people who are here tonight. Some special friends who traveled to come tonight from out of town. Could you please just stand when your name is called? Bill and Carol Byrne. Mike and Helen Monahan. Susan Vernon. Luke Vernon. Kenny Brems. Chris and Terry Grady. Matt and Kathy Galvin. And, of course, Mr. Frank Weed. Tammy?
Read this, Pam.
So I get to finish with all of my friends here. Bo talked a little bit about relationships earlier, and this is what it's all about. So, most importantly, Joel and I would like to thank all of our members for all of their support over more than the past 2 decades. You all are the foundation of the Ridge at Backbrook. I would say the bricks and mortar, but it's more like stones and mortar. Without you, we don't have a club. We are so grateful to you. Many of you tell us that the Ridge at Backbrook is your home away from home, and you know that that is music to our ears. Seeing you play golf, enjoy this beautiful bar and dining room, seeing you participate in the golf events, in tournaments, in dining and social events, holding your private parties, celebrating all the most important points of our lives, life's most important events, really gives us more joy than you know. Thank you all for being part of this journey that we have had over the past 2 decades. We love you, and we thank you all from the bottom of our heart.
Thank you, Pamela. That concludes our indoor presentation. In a few minutes, we have a surprise for you, so please grab a drink and then proceed either out to the outdoor event deck or down to the lower patio for a surprise. Thank you all for attending. Be safe when you're traveling home, and we're looking forward to the next 20. Thank you.
There was one out to the left, yeah. Wait, I'm here for my son.